Radio in motion program loading in 3, 2, 1. Program activated.
Attention everyone, the unpleasant noise you are about to hear coming from your radio is not a mistake.
Okay, first things first, what is your name?
This is Big Sonny playing the best of the 90s and beyond.
Are you ready for this?
Yeah. Radio in motion.
Please do not turn off your radio, but turn up the volume on your receiver as high as it can go.
All right, here we go.
Radio in motion.
All right, welcome back to the show. Thanks for joining me tonight on Radio in Motion, tonight's Tuesday Trouble. But first up, we're going to have another episode of The Ugly Truth. And the truth is, I really think lately, and I always talk about social media. It's a blessing and a curse. When I was just a lad and the internet was forming, it seemed like such an altruistic, amazing invention that you were able to connect to people all around the world. And, at first that sounds exciting, and it is amazing. We live in an amazing time. I'm not going to deny that, except that AI is coming to destroy us. But anyway, that's another subject. The idea that we can all be connected, and that was supposed to bring us together and find a commonality. That no matter where you were, on the opposite sides of the world, like myself, I've been in Australia and I'm a Yank, but I've been here since 2000 and I'm a bit half and half. But the point is, it's amazing when you connect and people travel around and you find out that as much as you're separated by languages and cultures, you often have the same goals. And I think those same goals are pretty simple. We all just want to, enjoy life, get along, and somehow I think, and also because of social media, the same thing that connects us is also a tool that really divides us. I'm not blaming the tool itself, like anything in the past, whether it was, the newspaper or television, the simple word of mouth. Someone talking in the town square and giving his opinion, that was a bit of a slow burn, but now it's because it just happens so fast. And, if you've listened to my show, I'm certainly a huge proponent for free speech, and I absolutely believe that everyone is allowed their opinion. And you're not allowed to quash that person's opinion. All you can do is have an open discourse and conversation with them and maybe try to convince them of other ideas and open up their mind. And at the end, people used to still be on opposite sides of a subject, but they were able to part ways and still shake hands and still have a drink. Well, my feeling is that these days, the people in power just tend to want to divide and conquer. And that's, I think that's one of the biggest lies we're told, whether it's Australia or America or the UK, is that we're hopelessly divided. It's left versus right, or race versus race, religion versus religions. But when you sort of zoom out, I think that starts to fall apart, that idea, because when you actually talk to people, when you talk to your neighbors, your friends, your family, even strangers, people you work with, most of them, we all want the same thing. We want to work hard, provide for our families, live in peace, leave something behind for the next generation. That's about it, We all follow our passions, and it's about building, generational wealth, and so that, the kids can have a better start. And that's been going on for ages. But lately, I think it really is, those with the power benefit when the rest of us are divided. And this is not something new. This is something I've talked about, but there are a lot of people out there, whether it's Jimmy Dore or Tucker Carlson, who was speaking recently at Turning Point USA. And again, whether you like that person's politics or not, you can at least stop and recognize that what they say is worth looking into. That's the other thing too. Nobody is ever going to agree on everything, but it's all those things I just mentioned I think we can agree on. So anything that helps us in the pursuit of that, in the pursuit of happiness, that's worth us getting together on. But yeah, I think history shows that when everyday people start realizing that they have more in common with each other than with the elites, and I'm sorry, I have talked about that. I don't in any way begrudge someone who has worked their butt off to make money and they have become a millionaire and they have built something for themselves and their family. Nothing wrong with that. America and Australia, UK was built on that idea. If you have a dream, go for it. I think it's more about those who are a little bit higher up. You know, you think, oh, well, Elon Musk is a billionaire. I'm talking about people a bit higher up than him. The people who have the kind of money where they just pick up the phone and make a call and you know, something changes because they wanted it to. And yes, that still happens, folks. Sorry to say. But yeah, I think ultimately we've seen that through history that we have more in common than we know, and definitely with each other than with those who want to pull the strings. And it's not just the money part. I think there's a certain mentality, and if you happen to be someone who has billions at their disposal, yeah, that's power, and it is something that corrupts. I will talk about something quickly. It was something that happened around 2011. It was Occupy Wall Street. You know, this is seen as some radical movement, but you know, the difference between what happened then was it was everyone from all sides, from all walks of life, all coming together. Every religion, every denomination, every walk of life that had one thing in common. They were tired of the BS. They were tired of the banks being bailed out. They were tired of all the billionaires, you know, getting a slap on the hand for actually engineering ways to screw everything up for the middle class. And again, I'll be honest, this wasn't just an American thing, and maybe sometimes some things start in America and that trend sets, you know, it reverberates around the world. But wherever you are, I think that was felt. And it also started around 2006, especially in the US, when, you know, the housing market dropped. And I think people started to recognize that, what is the point of this? I'm working hard and I'm losing my house because someone who wants billions wants to shave off just a little bit more for themselves because they can't stomach, you know, letting it go for us commoners. So I feel like it started around that time in that everyone was starting to unite. And there were no divisions. There was no left and right. Politics didn't matter. And no, I'm not having a go. Like I said, I'm not about, you know, eat the rich or anyone with money. You owe us. I'm not talking about anyone who has or is working hard on whatever invention or business, or maybe their business mind is amazing and they've been able to build money. I'm not even talking about millionaires in Hollywood. That's your average millionaire. Again, I'm talking about those who are in power and they use their money to just divide so that they can ensure we don't peek behind the curtains and see what they're doing. So I do believe that's when it started. And again, when I say started, basically I mean when it happened again, probably for the 500th time, because through history, I'll be honest, this is a natural evolution of any society. I think those, you know, who come together and decide it's time that we want a voice and it's time to stop the power from being stretched so far in between the little guy, and it ebbs and flows. I think there are times in history when it does well, times in US history and Australia and the UK when, and I don't believe it, I believe it's dissolving. I think the middle class, and I come from a family, a hardworking family, probably, you know, lower middle class, upper, lower, you know, all I remember is the struggle for money and my parents working hard to try to get the minimum. But the middle class did exist. And the point was, is there was a hope to be able to, like I said, find a little a niche for yourself, be able to buy some property, have a house that the mortgage did not last till you're 90, and actually be able to pass something on to your kids. You go to work, you come home in a safe neighborhood with people around you with like-minded ideas, and that was at least something that I think everyone could feel like they had a piece of the American dream, and that's okay. And for those who are high achieving, or maybe they're just lucky, yes, there's the people who are born with a silver spoon in their mouth and they've inherited wealth, but there are also those that have found that spark. And again, whether it's because they're brilliant or lucky or they're just good at business, however it is, if they found a way to jump up the reins and become multimillionaires, again, America and Australia needs those people too. Hopefully they give back to the community. But again, I'm not talking about those who are middle class, and then there's like the millionaires. Not having a go at them. I'm having a go at the separation literally between the millionaires and us, and the multimillionaires, and the mega billionaires, the oligarchs. I know I sound like, oh, you're just a conspiracy theorist. Well, as I always say, find out for yourself. You do your own research. You start to look around. You start to look around at companies like BlackRock and Vanguard who just buy up everything. They have the kind of money that you can't fathom. You don't even imagine the amount of zeros. They can just do what they want because they have no repercussions. So back to my point is that's around the time Occupy Wall Street is when I think the regular hardworking Joes recognized this, and they started to say, well, it's time to hold those people accountable. And if it's about government and politicians, if politicians are in the pocket of these people, and many of them are, they were being held accountable too. And frankly, that's when it started to ramp up again. It's all about division. And when I say ramp up again, because this is nothing new, this happens repeatedly, and we're just at that point now where they want to start to bring up other subjects. Oh, it's about culture divides or ideology or race, and we want to make sure that we are all on social media just having a go at each other and ranting and raving in this fantasy. It's a fantasy matrix where everyone's at each other's throats. But as I say, when you walk out your door, unless everyone's burning the streets and everyone's got clubs and they're all just ransacking, okay, maybe some neighborhoods, but that's another problem. But I don't see that. As I said, I still see neighborhoods with hardworking families who have everything in common about just building a life. So that's when it starts. The people who want it all, they recognize that, oh, we're starting to get together. Oh, you wouldn't want the people to rise up. I'm not talking about revolution. I'm just talking about a light bulb goes off and everyone realizes it's all bullshit. and they don't want that. So enters the divide and conquer. Divide and conquer is a real thing. The other one is the Roman saying of, give the people bread and circuses, and they'll want for nothing. They won't revolt, which really just means distraction. Bread and circuses is nowadays fast food and mainstream media, the circus of politics, entertainment in general. And hey, I'm a huge pop culture movie fan, and for my life that was a distraction, but I feel they just keep throwing all that at you so that you don't peek behind the curtain and go, hey, where'd all the money go? Why am I paying so much on everything? And it seems like it's all going in the wrong direction. So that's when it starts. Like I say, it's a manufactured division. And look, division is profitable. It is. It keeps people distracted and fighting each other instead of challenging the power. Disagreement is natural. Disagreement is natural. Like I said, not everyone is going to agree on everything 100%, but manufactured outrage keeps people from recognizing, the shared struggle. And when people are divided by culture, they stop uniting around economics. And I'm sorry. No, I'm not saying money fixes everything, but money does give you financial freedom. And I'm sorry that the word freedom is linked to finance. I know you think, oh, well, some guy who checks out and wants to just live off grid and go live in the mountains, which believe me, I've thought of. I've looked into that stuff far too much. He goes out and just lives in the forest and becomes a mountain man. Okay, that's a very extreme thing that I would say I dare all you to be able to actually find a way to do that, to find some neck of the woods in Alaska that you can live in, and I hope you know how to hunt and field dress an elk and be able to store it and cook it and build your cabin out of twigs and sticks. Again, the sentiment sounds lovely, but in the modern day and age, it is not easy to just check out and go, I'm going to be a mountain man. Unfortunately, if you want true freedom, you have to be able to build that wealth. And as I said, if you're not someone who had that amazing idea, if you're not the Elon Musk, and again, more power to him, if you haven't been able to build that wealth, or you can sit back and relax and go, I've done well, then you have to go to work and do the 9 to 5. And that's okay, that's what we do. But you want to be able to feel like you're gaining some ground. I think again that the shared human goals across all backgrounds, to love and be loved, raise your family in safety, earn an honest living. The American dream or the Australian dream, it's a shared pursuit. It's not divided. We all want that. So yeah, I do feel like the Occupy Wall Street was a big turning point, that they recognize this is what can happen when people rise up. And I mean peacefully. Revolution, that's a whole other thing again. You look into the history of the world everywhere. It's not just America. Everyone thinks to be obsessed with America. Plenty of revolutions through history where the people rose up. Just ask Marie Antoinette. But I think that's when, again, they started to notice that, and people were pissed off that they're losing their home, but all the huge wealthy bankers were getting bailouts for doing what? For being the cause of the problem, especially during that, when the housing market dropped out. That used to be something that seemed so solid, so obviously solid, to invest in a house, and families and neighborhoods and cities and states and the whole country investing in a home, and therefore, of course, it's something that Wall Street was interested in because it's something that they can also trade on, something solid. But the problem is it wasn't enough. They wanted more. And it's like when you make a copy of a copy and then you keep going, a copy of a copy of a copy. Once you get down to the end of it, the faded one looks nothing like the original image, which is essentially what they did to that market. They just sold pieces of pieces of pieces until it was based on nothing. And, then the bottom fell out. And so after that, I do feel like, and, I'd like to, there is data on this. You can start to see the trend more and more. Again, this doesn't arise from just people started talking about it. I'm sorry. There are, whether you want to call them, psyops or plants, especially with social media now, for every real person on there, I'm sorry to say, you have to realize there's a bot, or there's someone who's not a regular person. They're there, and I don't mean influencers, although they also are part of it in their own way. There are people who are on, especially social media, and before it would have been, the news or media in general, who would come out and go, well, the report that I'm talking about is blah, 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 and it was based on horse shit. And now they just do it on social media quicker, and their point is to stir up the bee's nest, okay? They're all out there, and yes, there is a they. Their job is to spread this idea of division and flame the fuel the fire that is a lot of the division that are subjects that, frankly, most people don't really care about on a day-to-day basis. They're very fringe topics. As I said, most people just want to get up and get through the day and get to the weekend, get to Friday and enjoy their life. I think that's most people on Earth. But after that, there was a real insurgence of identity-based conflicts. And they became louder than the once economic unity that showed signs of forming. But that fell apart because people just started to fight. Pit neighbor against neighbor. Constant outrage leaves little room for accountability at the top, Don't look over here. Don't look at the strings, look at the puppet. And again, I do believe it's about punching down. I do believe, the decisions are made at the top, but the consequences are felt at the bottom. everyday people are blamed for systematic failures that they didn't create. There is no systematic anything. There is only the very, very simple laws of, do unto others as you'd have done unto you. Don't steal, don't murder. Beyond that, it's an open field. You can work as hard as you want. You can do as much as you want. You can fulfill as much as you want. Or you can be lazy and do nothing, and then that's on you. But if you are working hard, you are doing everything, and you don't get why there's no movement, yeah, people start to recognize that, and they have that in common. But not if you're separated by all these ideologies. And again, and I feel especially in America, it's ideologies based on race and religion, especially now with religion all over the world. If someone follows a religion, and I believe, no matter what that is, whether you're looking at the Bible or the Quran, whether you're Catholic or Jewish, I think you would find the similarities in the teachings about being kind to each other and being good and paying it forward. These are all simple messages across all religions. It's usually when they get misinterpreted and people start to, again, interpret it in the way of, well, ours is right and yours is wrong, and then you end up in a war. That's the people doing that. I think the commonality is that if you find something that fills your spirit and you're able to use that to help you move forward, to help yourself while respecting and helping others and doing unto others as you would have done unto you, helping your community, your family. You don't want to hurt people or encourage someone else to hurt someone. If you're just in that realm of peace, I think that's pretty much what all religions at their core are trying to do, to find something that can uplift you. And if you're atheist, agnostic, then you're finding something else that drives you, something else that's your passion. Don't tell me that someone that doesn't believe in any higher power is not driven by something else. And I would hope that something else is also based on the same commonality, to respect one another, live and let live, and to find a way to live in harmony with your neighbor and find the pursuit of happiness together. Again, if we all have that, I don't care what religion you are. If we have that commonality, and I believe we do, then you're on the right track. Most people are not each other's enemies, okay? I'm sorry that is engineered. I'm not saying that there aren't bad people. I'm not saying that people aren't racist. There are people on a individual basis who need to find a way to find that maturity and find a way past that. Find a way past these inconsistencies in themselves that are harmful and are not nice. But I'm sorry, as a whole, I don't think anyone comes out of the womb with an automatic nasty hate for each other in any way, based on any of the things I've mentioned, based on any of the ideologies. I also think, in quick closing, the other one, and I've talked about this before, it's also pushed that everyone has to find that specific thing and find that group that takes them out of the one group that we're all part of, humanity, okay? I've said this before. Everyone is an individual no matter what. You are not only your sexuality. You are not only your religion. You are not only your skin color. I think more and more those parts are being taken out, and you have to pick that, and you have to follow the allegiance of that no matter what. That's one part. One, even if you say it's major, okay, it's major. How you identify gender and race, like I say, but these are all sums of the whole, okay? Everyone is an individual. Everyone on this planet, even if you are twins, there are minuscule things that are different between identical twins. Everyone is a unique soul. So there it is. There's the only one ideology. We're all humans and we're all individuals. And that is it. All the other parts are just as important, and you're happy to shout them to the rooftop and express that to others, and that's fine. Those are all the parts of you, but they're not the one. It shouldn't identify you, because my only advice is those parts that you think are just the one thing that truly identifies you and defines you, it's being used against you. That's all I can say, okay? Just please recognize that don't take those one thing and then not recognize that they're being used against you, because they're now using that as part of the group that they want to pit against others. That's all I can say. Just choose to be human and keep an open mind. And like I say, in closing, we all have much more in common than you think. We're all part of the hilarious struggle and calamity that is the human condition. Like when I say about comedy, and I feel like comedy's dead a lot these days because you can't say certain things or make fun of certain things or get canceled. The fact is, if you go far enough in the world, anything you say where the whole room is laughing, again, the comedians are the best. They can read the room, and they'll have a room with men and women and black and white and Asian and every race and every creed, all laughing at the one thing that's funny, the human condition. And it is hilarious. Whether a kid trips or an older man trips, a little girl trips, a woman trips, and it's a little bit of a fumble, it's funny. It's funny because we're all in that same, human condition, which is hilarious. And so that's the other thing, we all have that in common. And it does make me sad about comedy. Like, if you go far enough, you're gonna offend someone in the room somewhere on the planet. So don't even try. You might as well just give up comedy before you start. And that's sad, because if we can't laugh at ourselves, and no, I don't mean someone who's outwardly rude or targeting. That's not comedy. Comedy does pick out certain things that we all look around the room and agree, that's pretty funny because it's kind of true. Get over it. That's comedy. And yeah, I say comedy because that's another great thing that unites us. And I feel like we're losing that too. Always try to find more things that unite us. But yeah, I think again, awareness is sort of the first step. So like I say, don't listen to me. I don't know what I'm talking about, but just as long as you're aware and you start to think about these things, that your neighbor is more like you than you know, and question narratives that profit on outrage, all right? If you think the division and you going into the echo chamber on social media and just getting more outraged, you should stop and think that someone somewhere is laughing their butt off because they're making money off you on every ad, on every X post. It's all just adding to the echo chamber of division and rage, which is silly. Here's my one closing idea. If we spent half as much time understanding each other as we do arguing, I think a lot of powerful people would get very nervous. And that's a good thing, because they should be nervous. All right, and yeah, if you're listening, you are the resistance. All right, that's taken from Terminator, but it's still a good line. All right, well, that's it for this episode of The Ugly Truth. We'll be right back with some more great music on Radio Motion's Tuesday Trouble episode. We'll be right back after a word from our awesome sponsors.